it up. It's The Record Machine with your host, Jimi Holl.
I was raised in a cow town. The Bible Belt had me tied down. I told myself I would leave one day, but then she came along and here I stayed. The stockyard breeze is rolling in. That's the smell of money in the wind. There's hailstorms and tumbleweeds. No wonder there ain't no trees. Out at the Cadillac ranch, you can paint a caddy with a spray can. It sure ain't the promised land. They bury perfectly good cars in the sand. It's their way to say that you won't get away. No, there's nothing that you can do about the Cowtown Blues. The Cowtown Blues. I met her at the public pool in the summer after high school. We didn't make any college plans, too busy with these idle hands. She was the preacher's youngest kid, a sweet face and a body made for sin. Far from the deep blue sea, just her, the devil, and me. One night I got the call. She hung a cross on her bedroom wall, then said she was done with me if I didn't get down on one knee. My baby's in love with Jesus. She'd rather save herself than save us. Oh, there's nothing that you can do about the Cowtown Blues. The Cowtown Blues. Hey! Look at her in that pink dress, sitting in the pew like a princess, a crooked halo on her head. And I'm in my Sunday best, giving in to my weakness. I'm gonna do exactly what she said. There's only one thing that I can do for the Cowtown Blues. The Cowtown Blues.
That is Cowtown Blues, the first single off the brand new album Home Again. Now, James, any of the songs on there come from personal experiences?
That's a good question. I think that's a question I get a lot lately, especially with Cowtown. I think all of the songs, for the most part, have certain elements of truth to them. I find there's the best way to mix, like mixing a red wine. I mix some truth, and then I mix in some embellishments, And so, I did grow up in Amarillo, Texas. All of the characteristics about the town are accurate. There's the Cadillac Ranch, which is just outside of town. It's very dusty there. It smells like cow shit half the time because there's feedlots everywhere.
Okay.
And it's a very religious town, so all that stuff's sort of accurate, and that was just sort of a depiction of my childhood in terms of location. As far as the storyline, there's a little bit of truth to that too, but it's not completely accurate. I grew up in a religious family. I was actually the preacher's kid, not her, and I got married at a young age, but she wasn't religious, and so there was some truths to that, and I think I used that as sort of a springboard to creating more depth in storylines, in the stories themselves, and so because I think that's my goal is to engage a listener into a story and have them kind of follow along. So the easiest way to do that is to weave in some truths in your life.
Mm-hmm. And the reason you call it Home Again?
I lived in Texas for 25 years, and then I moved to Colorado. I lived in Colorado for 4, explored California for 3, and then I moved back to Texas in 2016, and I bought a house and started working on the album, and because I have a day job as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gotten the project done, and I was going through all the last final stages of getting the songs produced, and I was stuck on what I was going to name it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting talking with my sister-in-law, and I was talking to her about the CD, and I kind of asked her what she thought, and she just came up with the idea, Home Again.
Okay.
Because you're here, you're home again, and I felt like it was also kind of appropriate because the album is very country flavored, and I'm more of a folk artist, so the endeavor was a lot more country Americana. So it felt appropriate to call it that because of the sound as well.
Mm-hmm. And the Canadian River, what's the story behind that?
Oh, good question. Being raised in a religious community and religious family has its ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
and I try not to be too negative about the whole thing because I had a lot of positive experiences. But as I became an adult, I struggled with my own relationship with God or my Creator, or the universe, or whatever you'd like to call it, and trying to find peace with that. And that was sort of when I was doing some free writing, I was really wanting to just write about the imagery of the river, because the Canadian River is a river that runs directly through the Texas Panhandle, which is and it's about 45 minutes north of Amarillo.
Mm-hmm.
And when people go there on the weekend to hang out by the water, or to go mudding with their trucks, tailgating, that sort of thing. But it's a beautiful place, and I think I was trying to tap into that when I wrote the line down, "The river is my church," and from there that sort of just was sort of an epiphany for me that, okay, maybe I can do something more with this. And so I started exploring that and exploring my feelings about modern day religion and how it's difficult to have a personal relationship with whatever you call it out there, and describing what that is. And so that's really where the song came from. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, it helped me to describe my feelings about the subject, and, being able to be religious without necessarily having to be in organized religion.
Mm-hmm. The other song that stood out for me too was "Disappear for the Weekend." I like that one. I like that idea, because it seems like, during the week, especially what you said, you work 2 jobs, and I do as well, and that phrase title makes total sense to me. Can you talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, so my wife and I were living in California for a few years, and I was working for a tech company in Silicon Valley, and still kind of am. And we would just get done with work, and we would just head out of town for the weekend. We'd go to Napa, or we'd go to Big Sur, or we'd go, to LA, or wherever we want to go out for the weekend and explore the state of California. And that was really where I was inspired. I was inspired to write about Highway 1.
Nice. Now, other than Cowtown Blues, do you plan on releasing another single soon?
Yeah, I think Disappear for the Weekend is the next most natural place to go. We started with Cowtown because it was, partly because of recommendation from friends, but also because we wanted to see, where it would go in the Americana market. But I definitely feel like the commercial sound that comes with Disappear for the Weekend is going to be a lot more friendly with country independent radio and things like that. So I think that's probably where we're going to go next. I'm also going into the studio at the end of the year to record 3 new songs, and we'll be releasing those likely as singles, just sort of peppering them out throughout the next 12 months.
So on the entire CD, which one's your favorite song?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably say If I Stay Here With You is my favorite. It's not really a true story or anything, but it's just this, it's funny sometimes when I'm half asleep in a dream, I'll hear a song that I've never heard before. It sounds beautiful, and as I wake up, it disappears, And I think that's, I don't know, maybe one day I'll figure out how to get those ideas on paper before they disappear. But it's weird that happens, and I sort of found an opportunity to write about that. And I also have a best friend a good friend of mine who is he was in a relationship, a toxic relationship with someone, and he wanted to break the relationship off because of a number of reasons. But one of the reasons, which wasn't the most important, was he wanted to really pursue being a musician, and she really wanted to settle down. And I saw an opportunity to write about that, and I wrote about it. So it turned out to be a pretty powerful story about a musician who's with a woman and or man, and so I unfortunately, I need to be on the road. It's who I am. I'm restless right here, right now, and so that's sort of where everything kind of came together, and I really enjoyed that, and I loved how the guys that I did session work with the lap steel and dobro really came together and created a very melodic song instrumentally.
Now, besides the single Cowtown Blues being out, do you have some videos as well?
No, not yet, but that's something that we're planning this year as well. Going to be doing some more sort of high quality but low budget, like unplugged stuff, so probably taking a couple of songs from the album and just recording them in a really nice acoustic space with maybe a single camera, moving around. I'll still hire somebody who does a good job, but would love to do something like that and get those released, because as a folk artist, there's a lot of opportunities for performances that require live performances as references. So that's another trick in doing these sort of unplugged things, is I can use those for performance opportunity.
Do you have any plans to do any shows, any touring, or in the future?
Well, I just wrapped up a string of shows, and I will be going to a folk conference in next month. And that's really a good opportunity to network, and I do several performances there. But with a full-time job, and I don't see myself quitting my full-time job. I see myself investing more into the songwriting community long-term, as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And so performance is something that I do for fun. I don't really make any money off of it. I usually break even. And so, I think for me, I see myself as more of a boutique performance artist. So I'll typically do 12 to 24 shows a year and spread those out over the venues that I really enjoy. And I bring in some money. I'd say anywhere from $200 to $800 a night, but it just I'm not interested in the long-term aspects of touring on the road and stuff. There's I've got kids and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I hear you.
it's also I thought I was kind of abnormal. I thought until I make it on my own as a musician full time, I'm not considered a professional or successful. And I've stood in hallways and having conversations with folk artists that I listen to and admire, who are really successful and talented, and I find out that they're trying to find day jobs and to pay the bills. And that's when I realized that maybe I'm not that far off from those guys. Maybe this is the new way of things now, that the music doesn't pay as well, that having a day job or a career to support your music endeavors is pretty commonplace. So
Yeah. Now you have 3 CDs out, right? Total?
Well, I think all in all, I've released 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 projects since 2008, I think 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Several of those were under a different moniker and ended up getting taken down off of streaming websites.
I see.
And so yeah, I think all in all, I've probably written 60 or 70 songs. But currently I've got the EP, Canadian River, and then the LP, which came out December, for Home Again. Prior to that, I did an EP called A Brilliant Defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the songs on A Brilliant Defeat ended up being on the LP.
Okay.
And then prior to that, there was Something You Left Behind, which is a longer. It's a full LP, but I think it's like 9 songs. Those first 2 projects are a lot more pop, rock, I would say, and it wasn't until after A Brilliant Defeat I really started stripping things down. So.
Cool. No, the reason I ask is Christmas is coming around, and if people go to your website, jamesleebaker.com, they can pick up a great CD and throw it in a stocking for someone for their Christmas gift.
Yeah.
No, and it's been great talking to you today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, and thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Take
right.
care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Right.
Hey, why don't we ditch this town with the windows rolled down? Oh, what an ocean. Head down on Highway 1, watch the setting of the sun over the ocean. The radio's playing our song, your fingers are right where they belong, tucked in between mine. We can lay under the stars on the top of my car and sip on red wine. Yeah, baby, loving you is quite the journey in and of itself, but I wanna see the world in all its sights with you and no one else. Let's disappear for the weekend. it first into the deep end, and we can kiss our whole routine goodbye, at least for a little while. What do you say, Annie, you and I? Let's pick a spot on the map. I don't care where it's at. Let's be adventurous. We can hop on a plane or catch a ride on a train to where no one knows us. And in the evening we can light a candle and turn off the lights. I'll show you what they mean when they say all through the night. Let's disappear for the weekend and jump at first into the deep end, yeah. And we can kiss our whole routine goodbye, at least for a little while. What do you say, Emma, you and I? Of all the places I've seen with my own eyes, the ones I love the most with you by my side. Let's disappear for the weekend